Okay, let's try a thought experiment.
I'm ready.
Imagine you wake up tomorrow and you find out that everything you learned in history class, the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the slow, steady march of human progress, was effectively a cover story.
A PR campaign.
A PR campaign, exactly.
That is quite the way to start a morning.
Bear with me here. We're taught that humans are the inventors, right? We figured out fire, we figured out how to forge swords, we figured out how to paint our faces and map the stars.
Right. The story of human ingenuity.
But what if that whole narrative is wrong? What if the advancements we celebrate, technology, warfare, even the calendar hanging on your wall, what if they weren't human inventions at all? What if they were contraband?
Contraband is the right word. Illegal technology smuggled out of a celestial realm by fugitives who were never supposed to be here in the first place.
Exactly. And today, we aren't just speculating. We are doing a deep dive into two of the most fascinating and, frankly, suppressed texts in antiquity, the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees.
And these aren't just, extra chapters of the Bible. They read like leaked, classified documents of the ancient world.
They really do. If you treat the standard canon as the official press release of history,
then Enoch and Jubilees are the whistleblower complaints. They're filed against the management of the entire universe. They offer a shadow history that completely reframes reality.
And we are talking about a reality where civilization is actually a crime scene, where demons have a specific biological origin that, science completely missed.
Their time itself is broken because we're all using the wrong math.
And where the future is already written down on what they call heavenly tablets.
It is a radical worldview, to say the least. And our mission today is to try and reconstruct this timeline. We have four main pillars we need to get through.
Okay.
First, the technological conspiracy, this idea that forbidden tech was leaked to humanity. Second, what we're calling the spiritual X-Files, the biological origin of evil spirits and the legal deal that allows them to haunt us.
That legal deal part, I have to say, that just blew my mind. The idea that there's a contract for haunting.
It changes everything about how you view evil. Then we have the time glitch, the calendar wars, and finally the forbidden prophecies, the coded history of the future.
So buckle up. We are going way off the beaten path today. Let's start with that first one, the technological conspiracy. This focuses heavily on the Book of Enoch, right?
It does. We need to set the scene.
Okay, so who are the players here?
We have to go back to the days of Jared, who was the father of Enoch. The text describes a group of angels referred to as the Watchers, or Grigori. Now, it's really important to understand that initially these weren't demons.
They weren't evil?
No, they were sentinels. They were celestial beings stationed to, watch over humanity.
Yeah.
But then they defect.
They go rogue. And usually when people hear this story, if they've heard it at all, they focus on the scandal.
Right, the lust angle.
Yeah. Enoch chapter 6 says they saw the daughters of men and desired them. They descend on Mount Hermon, and they make a pact to take human wives. It sounds like a celestial soap opera.
It does, and the sexual transgression is certainly there. You can't ignore it. But if you read the text carefully, the sex is almost the Trojan horse for something much, much more dangerous.
Oh, it's not the main crime.
The core transgression wasn't just lust, it was an information leak.
See, this is the part that feels so modern. It wasn't just physical contamination, it was intellectual contamination.
Yes. They didn't just sleep with women, they opened a school.
A school for what?
They began to teach. Enoch chapter 8 provides a specific curriculum, a list of what it calls Azazel's contraband. And when you look at this list, you realize these aren't random items. They are, quite literally, the building blocks of what we call civilization.
Okay, let's drill down into this list because this is where that whole civilization as a crime theory comes from. Azazel, who is one of the ringleaders, teaches specific things. What is item number 1?
Warfare. Enoch 8.1 says Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates.
Okay, let's just pause there for a second. We usually think of weapons as a natural human evolution. You have a sharp stick, then you find a rock, then a better rock.
The standard historical progression.
But Enoch is saying, no, this knowledge had to be given. You didn't figure this out. It was a download.
And think about the difference between a tool and a weapon. A plow works with the earth. It creates life. Azazel's very first teaching is metallurgy, but specifically for the purpose of killing.
Right.
This isn't just about fighting. It's about the industrialization of violence. Before this moment, conflict might have been primal. A crime of passion, a fist fight. Azazel introduces the process.
The manufacturing process.
Yes. extracting ore, smelting it with fire, forging it into a shape designed exclusively to unmake a human being.
So he didn't just teach them to fight better, he taught them to manufacture death. He introduced efficiency to murder.
He introduced the capacity for war as an institution. It frames warfare not as some innate human trait, but as a learned behavior taught by a fallen angel. It's like a foreign virus in the human operating system.
That's a terrifying thought. But then you look at the second item on the list. This is where the text pivots to something that seems, at first glance, totally unrelated.
It does seem like a left turn.
Cosmetics.
Yes. The text says Azazel taught them about bracelets and ornaments and the use of antimony and the beautifying of the eyelids and all kinds of costly stones and all coloring tinctures.
The cosmetic conspiracy. I have to admit, when I first read this, I kind of laughed.
A lot of people do.
Evil eyeshadow. It sounds ridiculous compared to swords. Why is this on the same list as weapons of war?
It does seem trivial to the modern mind, but you have to look at the function. Why do you wear makeup? Why do you wear costly stones?
Well, to look better, to attract people, to show off your status.
To alter reality. If the sword allows you to dominate the physical world through force, cosmetics allow you to dominate the social world through deception.
Deception.
It's the manipulation of perception. Beautifying the eyelids with antimony is about changing the face you present to the world.
It's the original filter.
Precisely. It's reality distortion. Enoch groups them together because they are both forms of rebellion against the natural order.
Ah, okay.
God made the world a certain way. Azazel taught humanity how to hack it, how to cut the earth for metal to kill, and how to paint the face to lie. It's about materialism and the rejection of the image of God in favor of a fabricated image.
That actually makes a terrifying amount of sense. It's all about power. Power over life with swords and power over desire with makeup.
And the text says this worked, right? It wasn't just a fad.
No, it was a catastrophe. Enoch 8.2 says, "And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways."
The technology catalyzed the corruption. It suggests that you cannot introduce advanced power to a spiritually immature species without them destroying themselves.
And it wasn't just Azazel, though. The leak was widespread. There were other watchers teaching other classified subjects.
Correct. You have Semjaza, who is sometimes called a Mezarach, and he taught enchantments and root cuttings.
Root cutting sounds like gardening, but I'm guessing we aren't talking about horticulture here.
No, we're talking about pharmakeia.
Sorcery.
Sorcery. The use of plants and roots, not for nutrition, but to manipulate the environment or the mind. It's the beginning of witchcraft, really. It's this idea that there are hidden codes in nature that, if you know how to hack them, give you power over other people.
And then you have the astronomers.
Yes.
Right.
Barachial taught astrology. Kokabel taught the constellations. Ezekiel taught the knowledge of the clouds. Erakel taught the signs of the earth. Shamsiel the signs of the sun. And Serial the course of the moon.
Again, this is interesting because today we consider astronomy a noble science. We put telescopes in space to look at galaxies. Why does Enoch frame this as forbidden knowledge?
It all comes back to the source and the intent. In the ancient context, this wasn't about exploring the cosmos out of curiosity. It was about divination.
Right, predicting the future.
It was about looking to the stars for guidance instead of looking to the Creator. It shifted humanity's focus from the moral to the mechanical. It turned the universe into a machine that could be decoded and predicted, which sort of bypasses the need for faith.
So if we sum up this whole technological conspiracy, what we have is a society that suddenly just jumps forward. They have industrial weapons, they have complex beauty standards and social stratification, they have chemical sorcery, and they have advanced astronomical data.
It's an accelerated civilization.
And the result was?
Absolute ruin. Enoch 10.8 delivers the final verdict on this. It says, "The whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin."
To him ascribe all sin. That is a massive indictment.
It is.
It basically says, don't just blame the humans for pulling the trigger. Blame the guy who gave them the loaded gun.
It fundamentally changes the story of the fall.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just Adam and Eve eating a piece of fruit. It's a hostile takeover by a superior intelligence that weaponized human curiosity against itself.
But the technological conspiracy is only half the problem. The Watchers didn't just ruin the mind, they ruined the body.
Ah, yes.
We have to talk about the mutation of biology. We have to talk about the giants.
Nephilim.
This is the stuff of nightmares. They are the offspring of the Watchers and human women. And Enoch 7.2 gives us a detail that is often glossed over, I think, because it's so insane. It says they grew to 3,000 cubits.
3,000 cubits.
Okay, let's do the math on that. A cubit is roughly 18 inches. That would make these things, what, almost a mile high? That sounds physically impossible.
It is absurdly large if you take it as a literal vertical height for a biological entity. The square cube law of physics would just crush them under their own weight. Most scholars interpret this as hyperbole, a way of expressing their overwhelming dominance and their power. But even if we scale it down to just very, very large, the text describes them as an economic and ecological disaster.
They're consumption engines.
Insatiable. Enoch 7.3 says they consumed all the acquisitions of men, they ate the surplus, they ate the seed corn. Humanity literally couldn't sustain them.
And when the grocery store was empty?
They turned on the customers. The giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And then it gets even darker.
How can it get darker than that?
They began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood.
It's a biological horror movie. You've got cannibalism, blood drinking, sinning against animals. What does sinning against birds and beasts even mean?
It could imply a number of things: bestiality, or perhaps even genetic manipulation. Mixing species. It suggests that the corruption wasn't just human, it was planetary. The genetic barriers that God had set up, according to their kind, were being smashed. The earth was becoming a genetic cesspool of hybrids and monsters.
This explains why the flood was necessary in this narrative. It wasn't just that people were being mean to each other.
Not at all.
The hard drive was corrupted, you had alien technology accelerating violence, and you had hybrid monsters eating everything in sight. The earth was quite literally broken.
Exactly. In this view, the flood wasn't an act of cruelty. It was a sterilization protocol. It was the only way to save the entire biosphere.
Yeah, so the water comes, the giants die, the Watchers are imprisoned. End of story, right? We can all go home.
If only. This brings us directly to our second pillar, the spiritual X-Files. Because this is where Enoch and Jubilees answer a question that the Standard Bible leaves, well, kind of open.
Which is,
where do demons come from?
Right. Most people, if you ask them, they assume demons are just fallen angels. You know, Satan and his crew getting kicked out of heaven.
That is the popular medieval tradition,
Right.
And it comes largely from things like Milton's Paradise Lost. But Enoch chapter 15 offers a completely different and very biological explanation. It argues the demons are not fallen angels.
They're not.
No, they are the ghosts of the giants.
Okay, I need to stop you on this. Demons are ghosts of giants.
Yeah.
That, well, it solves a plot hole, but it creates a biological puzzle. If the giants were physical flesh and blood eating people, why do they become spirits when they die? Why don't they just rot?
That's the hybrid problem.
Mm-hmm.
And Enoch 15 verses 8 through 12 breaks it down like a science textbook. You have to look at the ingredients. Yeah. The Watchers, the fathers, are eternal spirits. They are immortal beings.
Okay.
The human mothers are mortal flesh.
So you mix eternal and mortal in a test tube?
And you get a volatile compound, a biological paradox. When a human dies, their spirit goes to Sheol, the place of the dead. When an angel falls, they are bound in a specific prison. But the Nephilim, they don't fit in either bin. They are undocumented souls.
So the body dies because it's part human.
But the animating spark, the life force that came from the Watcher Father, is immortal. It can't die. But it also can't go to heaven because it's a bastardization. It can't go to the human afterlife because it's not fully human.
So it's trapped here.
Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies. They are trapped in the dimension of their birth, which is Earth. Enoch says they are invisible and that they oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth.
This makes the concept of a haunting so much more specific. It's not just a random spooky ghost. It's the leftover spiritual waste of a pre-flood violation.
And think about their psychology for a moment. They used to be giants. They used to be the apex predators, eating everything, drinking blood, ruling the entire world. Now, they are disembodied.
They're nothing.
They are hungry, but they have no mouths. They are thirsty, but they have no throats. They have all the rage and appetites of a giant, but no way to satisfy them.
That is a recipe for pure rage.
Pure distilled malice. And Enoch specifically says they target the children of men and women because that is their genetic origin. They hate us because they are a twisted version of us. They want to possess us because they want to feel alive again.
That is profoundly disturbing. But it leads us directly into the book of Jubilees, chapter 10. Because this story has a sequel.
It does.
Flood is over. Noah and his family are safe. They've started to repopulate. But suddenly, Noah's grandchildren start getting sick. They're being seduced and killed and driven mad.
And Noah recognizes the symptoms. He realizes the ghosts are back. The spirits of the giants are still active on the earth.
So Noah prays. He basically goes to God and says, look, I thought we washed these things away with the flood. Please imprison all of them so my family can survive. He pleads for a total lockdown.
And God is about to do it. The text implies God is ready to send them all to the pit of condemnation, the abyss. But then...
And an objection from the gallery.
An objection.
Yeah.
Someone walks into the courtroom. Enter Prince Mastema.
Mastema. This is a fascinating character in Jubilees. He's the leader of these spirits. He's a Satan figure. But he operates more like a prosecuting attorney.
He files a legal motion before God. We have the quote from Jubilees 10, verse 8. Mastema says, Lord Creator, let some of them remain before me, and let them hearken to my voice, and do all that I shall say unto them. And here's the key part. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my will on the sons of men.
I shall not be able to execute the power of my will. He's asking for a workforce. He's arguing that he needs these demons to do his job.
He does.
And what is his justification?
He says, For these are for corruption and leading astray before my judgment. For great is the wickedness of the sons of men.
He's blaming us. He's basically saying, humanity is so wicked, you need someone to test them and punish them. You can't lock up all my enforcers, or the whole system won't work.
It's a very dark argument. He's claiming that evil is a necessary utility in a fallen world. And here is the absolute shocker.
What's that?
God listens to this argument.
Yeah.
And God agrees.
He agrees.
He makes a deal. We get the verdict in Jubilees 10, verse 9. God says, let the 10th part of them remain before him, and let 9 parts descend into the place of condemnation.
So 90% of the evil spirits get locked up. That's the mercy. But 10%, which, given the number of giants that must have existed, could be millions, are allowed to stay on Earth.
Officially sanctioned,
Yeah.
under Mastema's command, specifically to mess with us.
This frames all current evil and demonic activity in the world not as an accident or a rebellion that's out of control, but as the result of a plea deal.
A plea deal.
We are living in a 10% world.
It moves evil from the realm of random chaos to a sanctioned test. The demons are here because God signed off on it to test the hearts of men. It's a chilling thought.
But there is a silver lining in Jubilees. The medical intervention. This was the part that surprised me. Noah is, freaking out about these 10% that are left. So what does God do?
God sends angels to teach Noah medicine, specifically herbal remedies to counter the attacks of these very spirits.
So not medicine for a common cold.
No, this is spiritual medicine.
Yeah.
Jubilees 10.112 says the angels explain to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their seductions, how he might heal them with herbs of the earth.
This is huge. In the worldview of Jubilees, medicine originates as a form of spiritual warfare.
Exactly. It's the divine countermeasure. The demons cause sickness and corruption. The herbs and the knowledge given to Noah provide the cure. And Noah writes this all down in a book and gives it to his son Shem.
So in this context, a pharmacist is basically an exorcist with a degree.
In a manner of speaking, yes. Healing is the divine response to the Mastema deal.
Okay, so just to recap. We have a world corrupted by alien tech, haunted by giant ghosts, and managed by a dark prince with a 10% quota for his workforce. If that wasn't enough, Jubilees throws another wrench in the gears.
A big one.
We have to talk about the conspiracy of time.
This is where things get a little technical, but it's absolutely crucial to understanding this worldview, the time glitch. Both Jubilees and Enoch are obsessed with the calendar.
And I mean obsessed. There are chapters and chapters of math, and my first reaction was, why does it matter so much if a year is 364 days or 365 days? To us, it's just an adjustment. We add a leap year, we fix the math, no big deal.
To the modern mind, time is just a measurement. It's a utility. But to the authors of these texts, the calendar is a liturgy. It is the synchronization protocol with heaven. If you get the time wrong, you are literally disconnecting from the source of all power.
So let's break down the correct system according to these texts. What's the right way to do it?
Jubilees 6 and Enoch 72 describe a strictly solar calendar. The year is exactly 364 days.
Which is a beautiful number mathematically.
It is. It's perfect. 52 weeks times 7 days equals 364.
Exactly.
Which means if you start the year on a Wednesday, the year always ends on a Tuesday. The next year starts on Wednesday again.
Absolute symmetry. Every feast day, every holy day falls on the exact same day of the week every single year. There is no drift. Order is absolute. It's a perfect divine clock.
That sounds great. So what's the problem? Where did we go wrong?
The problem is the moon.
The moon conspiracy.
The texts hate the lunar calendar. Jubilees 6, verse 36 warns that there will be people who examine the moon diligently, but the moon comes in 10 days too early every year.
Right, because a lunar year, which is 12 cycles of the moon, is only about 354 days long. It's 10 days shorter than the solar year.
And Jubilees argues that following this shorter calendar is catastrophic. It's like setting your clock to run fast. Jubilees says that by following the moon, humanity will disturb the order.
What is the consequence of that disturbance? It's not just that you're early for dinner, I'm guessing. No. It says they will eat on days which are not feast days and celebrate feasts on days that are unclean.
It's a metaphysical disconnect.
Imagine you have a secure phone line to God. The line is only open at specific appointed times, the feast days. But because you are using the lunar calendar, you're dialing in 10 days early.
You're getting a dial tone.
No one picks up. And when the line is actually open, you're busy doing something else because you think the appointment is over.
Wow.
Jubilees says they will err as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and Jubilees. It frames the entire Gentile world, and eventually, the text predicts the Jewish world, as being out of sync with the real time of the universe. We are living in a time dilation bubble of our own making.
And historically, the mainstream Jewish calendar is lunar-based, with corrections. Jubilees calls this following the feasts of the Gentiles. It's a direct polemic against the establishment of its day.
It is. It suggests that the world is running on a corrupted operating system. Wrong tech, wrong spirits, wrong time.
It really feels like the deck is stacked against us. We're fighting a war on 3 fronts: physical, spiritual, and temporal. But the texts also claim to know how it all ends.
They do.
This brings us to the final pillar, the forbidden prophecies.
Enoch contains some of the most highly symbolic, coded histories that claim to predict the entire timeline of the world. The most famous, and frankly the wildest, is the animal apocalypse in Enoch chapters 85 through 90.
I love this part. It's like George Orwell's Animal Farm, but written thousands of years ago.
It is. It's an entire retelling of history where humans are represented as different kinds of animals and angels are represented as people or stars.
Okay, let's crack the code for the listener. Who is Adam in this story?
Adam is a white bull.
And the Watchers, the fallen angels who started all this trouble.
They are stars. The text says, I saw a star fall from heaven, and it began to cover the cows.
That's the sons of God taking human wives, and the result of that union.
Elephants, camels, and asses. Those represent the giants, the Nephilim.
That's a funny image, but it conveys the mutation perfectly. They aren't bulls or humans anymore. They are something else entirely, something unnatural.
And then we get to Israel.
Israel is represented as a flock of sheep. A white sheep, Jacob, is born from a white bull, Isaac.
And the enemies of Israel.
The Gentile nations are wild beasts. Lions, tigers, wolves, eagles, they are predators, and the text describes them tearing at the sheep.
But then there is a very specific conspiracy point in this prophecy, the 70 shepherds. This is the part that I think is the most profound political commentary in the entire text.
What is this concept?
This is Enoch's explanation for why bad things happen to God's people. The text says that God, who is called the Lord of the sheep, gets angry with the sheep because they are straying. But, and this is the key, he doesn't punish them himself directly. He calls a meeting.
He brings in middle management.
Exactly. He hands the sheep over to 70 shepherds. These are angelic administrators, the principalities over the nations of the world. And he gives them a quota. He tells them, I want you to pasture these sheep, punish them, but only kill the ones I specifically tell you to kill. It's a limited judgment. He writes it all down.
He is outsourcing the discipline. Here are the rules of engagement. Don't go overboard.
But as any student of bureaucracy knows, once you delegate power, you can lose control. The 70 shepherds go rogue. God appoints a scribe angel to watch them. He's like an auditor. And the scribe reports back, Lord, they are killing way more sheep than you authorize. They are handing them over to the lions for no reason.
A celestial bureaucracy gone wrong. That's incredible.
It is exactly that. It frames the suffering of history not just as God's will, but as the result of incompetent or malicious middle management angels abusing their delegated power.
That is such a unique perspective. Usually the question is, why is God doing this to us? And Enoch answers, God isn't doing it. His employees are breaking the rules.
And the tragedy is that the Lord doesn't intervene immediately. He lets the contract, this period of the shepherds, run its course until the Great Judgment.
So how does the animal apocalypse end?
It ends with a great battle. A great horn grows on one of the sheep. Scholars often link this to the Maccabean revolt. The predators attack, but the Lord of the Sheep finally intervenes. He sets up a throne in the pleasant land.
This judgment.
The judgment. The sealed books are opened, the fallen stars, the watchers are judged. But crucially, the 70 shepherds are judged. They are thrown into a fiery abyss for their negligence and cruelty.
So the corrupt managers finally get fired.
Into a fire, yes. And then a new house. The old house, which represents Jerusalem or the temple, is folded up and removed. The Lord brings a new, larger house. All the surviving sheep turn white and gather there. It's the restoration of Eden.
That's the animal apocalypse. But Enoch has one more timeline for us. The apocalypse of weeks.
This is found in Enoch 93 and 91. It breaks world history down into 10 weeks, which are not literal weeks, of course, but eras or epochs.
Let's run through them quickly so we can see where we might fit in.
Okay. Week 1 is the time of Enoch himself. Justice still existed. Week 2 is the great injustice, which leads to the flood. Week 3 is when the plan of righteousness, Abraham, is chosen.
Right.
Week 4 is the giving of the law, so Moses. Week 5 is the building of the house of glory, Solomon's temple.
Then week 6.
Week 6 is the blindness of the people. The temple is burnt. The dispersal of the people. The exile.
And then week 7. This seems to be where the writer places the current events of his time, and maybe even ours.
Week 7 is the apostate generation. The text says, "An apostate generation shall arise, and many shall be its deeds, and all its deeds shall be apostate."
Total corruption, a time of widespread confusion and godlessness.
But at the end of week 7, the elect righteous are chosen to receive sevenfold instruction. This is the turning point. The revelation of truth, perhaps the rediscovery of these very texts, is what's implied.
And then the final stretch, weeks 8, 9, and 10, the finale.
Week 8 is the week of righteousness. A sword is given to the righteous to execute judgment on the wicked. Week 9, the righteous judgment is revealed to the whole world. And week 10, the great eternal judgment. The watchers are finally punished for good, and a new heaven appears.
And after this, there will be many weeks without number forever.
The takeaway from all these prophecies is this concept of predestination, the heavenly tablets.
We hear that phrase a lot in these texts, the heavenly tablets. What does that mean?
It's the idea that history is already written down. It's a script. The mystery isn't what will happen. The mystery is simply knowing where you are in the script. The Watchers tried to hack the script with technology. Mastema tried to manipulate the script with demons. The 70 shepherds tried to rewrite the script with their own violence.
But the tablets remain.
The timeline is fixed.
That's a comforting thought, in a strange way. Amidst all the chaos, the demons, the wars, the time glitches, the corrupt angels, there is a master file that hasn't been corrupted.
That is the ultimate hope these texts offer. That despite the vastness of the conspiracy, the creator is still the admin of the system.
So let's bring this all home. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've tried to reconstruct the world according to Enoch and Jubilees.
It is a world corrupted by what is essentially alien technology, brought here by the Watchers.
A world haunted by the biological ghosts of giants, the demons, who are here on a 10% plea deal with God.
A world confused by a broken calendar that has disconnected us from the divine rhythm of the universe.
But ultimately, a world that is moving along a pre-written script toward a final restoration.
That, the hidden history, in a nutshell.
It really makes you look at things differently, especially the technology part. We always pat ourselves on the back for our inventions. Look at the smartphone, look at this new weapon system, look at how advanced we are.
But if you view it through the lens of Enoch, you have to ask a different question. Is this progress, or is it just the curriculum of Azazel?
That is the provocative thought I want to leave all of you with today. These texts were buried for centuries, now reading them again. If Enoch is right, and the knowledge of weapons, of mirrors, of manipulating reality were the tools used to corrupt humanity in the first place, is our current obsession with discovering more and more technology actually advancement?
Or are we just unlocking more of the forbidden archive? Are we simply graduating from Azazel's introductory class to his advanced seminar?
And if we are, what happens when the master of the house comes back to check on the sheep?
That is the question.
A huge thank you to everyone for listening to this deep dive. It's a lot to chew on. Go read the texts yourself. The Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, they are wild, they are weird, and they might just change how you see the world.
Keep questioning the official narrative.
We'll see you on the next one. Stay curious.